Hope you all had a solid weekend. Bobby Broyles and Tim McDonald back here to preview Stony Brook today for CAA Football's 12 Teams in 12 Days segment. The final week of our series is here, Tim, and the Seawolves are a good team to open with considering all the possibilities in 2017. A strong start last year that featured a 5-2 record turned the other way all of a sudden with 4 straight losses to end it.
Really a season of 2 stories. And I know we both hype up playoff potential all the time. And I mean, that's part of our duty because we love the playoffs. We love the FCS system. We hype up playoff potential and how seasons ended for teams throughout this series. But, man, this time the proof is right there. Like you just said, story of 2 seasons in 1. You beat North Dakota to start the year. Blocks punt gets it done. Phenomenal non-conference win. You beat Richmond at home and handle Richmond in great fashion. Then Towson, you also beat Towson right off the bat. And then you head into the halfway point of league play unbeaten. But all of a sudden the juice and that attitude is lost in the latter half, and much of the attention, all of the attention that was gained before is suddenly almost forgotten a little bit. So it's a weird preview series looking at Stony Brook in terms of why or how did this 4-game skid happen or occur. In past years, we might just automatically spotlight the offense and talk about the offense and the consistency to find balance, consistency to find that passing game. But I think it's fair to say this time around that it wasn't necessarily one side of the ball's fault. It was happened on both sides, contributed to that issue. 9 starters back on yet another stingy defense in 2017, and we know about Stony Brook's defense. We know what to expect from the Seawolves. New coordinator in Bobby McIntyre, but he's also been on the staff for the last 6 seasons, so that's no major changes. Nothing should really change too much. 20.2 points allowed, second in rush defense in CAA with 101 yards per game allowed, and second in total defense as well, giving up 274 yards a game. Again, we know the strength of this team, and we have for some time, and it's been a common theme over the years to talk about Stony Brook's defense. But I would imagine having tasted success like the early part of last year, the defense, that's only going to add more of an edge to this unit. And John Haggart, Usama Kamara, Shane Lawless, Noah McGinty are all back at D-line. Didn't even mention Tyrese Beverett yet. He's also back. He played Rover. He has a chance to take this game to another level. I think he could potentially be that guy who's the best defensive player in this conference if his stats show up again. 96 tackles, led Stony Brook last year, 8 for loss at a team-high 4 interceptions. When the D puts everything all in and everyone is locked and dialed in and plays as a unit, the same level I think can be met again this year. But you think back to games like the Sacred Heart, you think back to New Hampshire, and you think back to Maine, all of losses, those are prime examples for me of playing outside that identity and outside of that role that we know this defense has.
We had a chance to chat with Stony Brook's head coach Chuck Priori about the expectations for the defense.
Yeah, real high. Certainly, it's been one of the things we've done a great job with since we've joined the CAA. I mean, the year before, prior to that, we were number 1 in the country. So I think we have the ability to continue that, obviously, with the personnel coming back, as you alluded to, with some younger kids joining the group. But, you know, every year it's a challenge, and you got to figure out how to tweak what you do, because teams look at what you do and they're going to make adjustments. But, you know, we're excited about our personnel, and, you know, playing defense is, you know, I believe in it, and our team believes in it.
If you looked at one of the main struggles on offense last year, Tim, it was getting the passing game going to complement what would be another steady run attack. Stacey Bedell is back for his senior season with the Seawolves, 2 top rushers. So where do you pick and choose first on this offense?
You start, I think it's difficult, and I think it's above our pay grade, which is good for us. Bad news, but you think about the alterations on this offense, and thankfully, I think in all seriousness, you start with that quarterback position. And it's such a key position on every team, but especially with Stony Brook. You know where you're going to start with Joe Carbone. You get a guy who's experienced, primary starter back. Yes, 3 touchdowns versus 12 picks. Obviously, there's room for improvement a year ago. But Stony Brook right now, bringing back so many guys, especially in the backfield, and so many quality guys. I mean, only scored 16.7 points and passed for 109 yards per game last year, which was 11th in the league. Tyquel Fields and Jack Cassidy and Jack Cassidy are the other 2 guys outside of Carbone. But both of those guys under center, we haven't really seen them play. Fields hasn't seen any game action yet. Cassidy started the finale at UAlbany. So things have to change in order for improvement, in order to shore up this passing game. It, of course, helps to have Timon Paris back, anchoring the offensive line, and he's one of 4 starters up front, welcoming back to that Stony Brook offense. And the top target, Ray Bolden, is back, and we know he's the top target. We know he's capable of making plays, but I need more involvement for Ray Bolden, and I'm sure he's saying the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But at all times, I mean, 37 catches, but he also had 536 yards. Just shows how much of an ability he has on the outside. Sherman Austin Jr., we saw in the return game last year, have effect. He's back, and Donovan Washington is also back. He returns from injury. For an offense that just had 3 receiving touchdowns versus 17 on the ground, I think to answer the pick and choose question, off the bat, I'm still going to stick with who's that guy under center, knowing you have all that experience, a Stacey Bedell, a Donald Leontine. All those guys are back, and we've seen what they can do on offense sustained through a year. It comes down to that guy under center.
Here is Coach Priori again talking about some of the changes the offense made during the offseason.
You know, I think in this league, if you don't score points, you're going to be in those games in the fourth quarter that then comes down to, do you have the better quarterback? Do you have the better field goal kicker? Can your punter put people in position for field position? So I'd like to say one of our emphasis in the offseason was our ability to be more productive on offense and maybe not rely on just a Stacey Bedell, who got hurt and didn't play the last 3 games, really, even though he was part of on the field. He was injured, who had 10 touchdowns going into those, and be able to spread the wealth out a little bit and have more playmakers.
Tim, we have said it time and time again that if this offense comes around, this team can push forward.
No doubt, and that's where you start. A strong defense doesn't always equal the payout on the other end, and it sounds harsh and it sounds straight and to the point, but it's true so far in the last couple of years, especially for Stony Brook. A whole lot of players who have experience on this team, they went through last year and went through the end of the season and how things felt, the taste in their mouth. They're back and ready to go for 2017. I'm anxious and curious. I think that's the best word, to see the plan of action this time around. The mentality for this team, how do you switch that? The Seals were picked 8th in the preseason poll, and in my mind, probably still one of the more intriguing teams in the hunt this fall, simply because of the chance for progression on offense, on that offensive side of the ball. We know what the defense brings, and we keep on saying it, but it's true. We know what the defense brings. It's what that offense can do to change it up. Schedule sets up well early. At South Florida, obviously a tough game. South Florida's very good, but at Rhodey, then 2 straight home games for Sacred Heart in Towson. Remaining road tests include at William Mary, at Richmond, and end the year in Orono. Always great to end the year in Orono, right?
Yeah,
up at Maine to end the year. But 6 home games in all, 5 in conference play is really nice. But those final road tests are really going to show that same type of challenge this team faced almost a year ago, and see if that progression is ready to be made.
The Seawolves opened their season on the road against FBS opponent South Florida on ESPN3.
And at Media Day, we met with preseason All-American offensive lineman Timon Paris, and his one-on-one feature, along with other Stony Brook content, can now be seen on social and CAFootball.com.
Tim and I return on Tuesday looking at the Towson Tigers. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow.